All right, welcome to episode 4 of Business by the Bar. I'm Armando with Security Owners Group, and today I've actually pre-picked the whiskey that I'm going to sip. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that. And it's Legend. Now, the reason why I chose this particular bourbon is because the theme today is partnerships. We're going to talk about the 4 different relationships that you have to run a good business, regardless of your size. And Legend is really interesting because it is a partnership between Fred No, that everybody who's a bourbon head knows, and Shinji Fukuyo, who is a master blender out of Japan. So you've got Kentucky bourbon, Japanese blender, and then they marry these in, I believe, wine and sherry casks. So it's a really interesting whiskey that is made better by creating a partnership. So that's what I'm pouring tonight. So we're going to talk about something very specific. There's 4 partnerships, 4 relationships that you need to have pretty much in any business. Okay, I'll start with the first one. The first one's going to be your banker. All right, obviously a business doesn't survive without money, and money needs to be managed. And if you're going to do money management using things like Profit First or any other kind of cash flow methodology, you need a banker that you can trust, that isn't going to nickel and dime you, that will tell you what you need your finances to look like if you ever need to fund a large project, or you ever need a bridge loan to get through a really terrible month, or you need anything that a banker can do. The other advantage here is that business bankers, tend to know a lot of business owners. And if you own a security company, you want to know business owners because you either want to sell them a security system for their business or their house, because you know that these are people that can pay for the system and understand value. So that's the first thing you want. Every business needs a banker. And I don't mean, oh, I bank with this bank, or I bank with that bank, or I talk to one of these 5 people. No, I mean, you have your banker. They've assigned someone to you. You talk to them probably once a week, once a month, but no longer than that, right? You don't go a quarter without talking to your banker, because you don't want things to be a surprise to them when you need them. Okay, and it's not just for debt, right? Your banker will come in handy when you need to redo things with your credit card processing, when you need to get a referral to somebody in a certain industry that they're going to know for finances. If you ever want to buy another company or buy a bunch of accounts, having a good relationship with your banker is going to be solid. All right, number 2, an attorney. I know, and I didn't take that advice myself. I went the first 3 years in business without an attorney at all. No relationships, no contacts. I didn't even know an attorney, and that bit me in the ass one day when I got sued for something that we didn't do. We had nothing to do with it, but we still got sued, because the secret is you can get sued by anybody for anything regardless of the validity, right? And actually, there's kind of a little bit of a saying that once you get sued, that's how you know you've made it, because somebody noticed that you're growing and you're doing well, and they assume that you've got pockets to settle a lawsuit that may not be legit. So in the alarm business, in the security business in general, that is a very litigious business. You need to have an attorney, and you need to have an attorney who knows other attorneys, because when it comes down to tax time and you need to work on how to maximize or minimize your taxes, a CPA is going to do certain things, but your tax attorney is going to be able to tell you what's legit, right? And where the line is, so that you're not breaking any rules, but you're maximizing the amount of money that you get to keep in the business to keep it going. Okay, so that's number 2, is your attorney. I already mentioned number 3, which is your CPA. All right, you need an accountant, not just a bookkeeper. And you don't need to have them on staff, but you need to have somebody you can trust and talk to about your business, preferably not somebody who's been a CPA their whole life, but somebody who became a CPA after being a CFO and after actually working in business. Okay, the theory of accounting is very different from the practical application. Most CPAs have never had to scramble to make payroll, right? At one point, I had to get rid of some Bitcoin to make payroll. I literally had to sell Bitcoin to make payroll. I had mined that Bitcoin. It had cost me practically nothing. Right now, if I had managed to keep it, it would probably be worth about $700,000 or $800,000, even with the depressed price of Bitcoin right now. So you need a CPA who understands the pain of running a business and having to scramble for cash when the business is doing well, especially because nothing will make you broker than growing too fast. But also when it's not doing well, and someone who will level with you and say, hey, your expenses are too high for the amount you're doing. You have too many employees. You're not selling enough. You're giving people, your terms are too long, whatever it is. But you got to have a partner and a CPA who will tell you where the bear shit's in the woods. Okay, all of these people need to be able to tell you where the bear shit's in the woods, and they can't be afraid of doing it. That's why it can't be a vendor. It's got to be a relationship. They have to be somebody that you trust and somebody who will tell it to you like it is. Okay. The fourth is your marketing company or your marketing person. Even if you're doing your marketing yourself, you need to have someone that you trust to bounce that marketing stuff off of, to give you ideas, to give you resources. And yeah, you're going to have to pay them, right? Sometimes, if you're doing it yourself, you still should pay for the advice. You should help them feed the relationship by having them continue to do that. But a marketer is going to be a key relationship for you as your business grows. Now, not so much in the first couple of years, but once you get to about $1 million in revenue, it gets a little bit harder to add new revenue since you're doing so many things. So the first hat that you're going to want to take off your shoulders is going to be marketing, whether that's digital or someone to manage cold calling or prospecting or whatever it is. So those are the four things, okay? Your banker, your attorney, your CPA, and your marketer. If you don't have those relationships and you own a business, I would say to get on it, right? Whether it's you share a whiskey with someone and you find out they're a CPA and you start building a relationship and talking to them, or you go smoke a cigar with someone, or on the golf course, or at church, or at a car event, or whatever social events that you are at. Those are the partnerships and the friendships that you need to start making. Because they will also change the way that you think, even if they're not vendors, even if they're just friends and relationships. Having those four partnerships built up, who have a little voice in your ear, are going to change the way that you run your business. Right? The attorney is going to limit the amount of liability that you take on without knowing it. Right? The CPA is going to help you think more about the financial ramifications of every little decision, right? When you realize that you're only making 4%, and if you spent 2% more on the year, you're cutting your income in half. Oh, right, that's a huge realization. That's only 2% of your revenue. Will cut your income in half if you're not operating at high efficiency. The banker will give you a heads up when interest rates are going to change, which could affect our market, especially if you're doing residential. And the marketer is going to be able to tell you, when you hear them bitching and moaning about how how Google changed their algorithm for ads, or for search or any of that stuff's going to seep into your brain. It's going to become important for how you market the business, right? Whether they're a vendor or not. So, those are the four: banker, attorney, CPA, and marketing. So, get on it. Start making those friendships, right? People do business with people, not with faithless drones. So make friends, give them value, don't just take. And best of luck. Partnerships do make things better.